The last thing Sasha Alvarez expected on the night of her surprise baby shower was to see her beloved husband Victor cradling another woman on his lap in front of all their closest friends and family. Yet there she stood, pregnant, belly and gift bow perched on her hair, frozen in disbelief. How could this be happening? The bright ribbons and balloons, which had once promised hope and unity, now cast mocking shadows across the lavish mansion. In that single moment, Sasha's entire world shifted. She had no idea that the betrayal cut even deeper than she imagined, or that she was about to unearth secrets capable of tearing every thread of her life apart. Sasha Alvarez never considered herself lucky in love. Growing up in a modest neighborhood on the outskirts of Miami, she had often fantasized about a luxurious life, imagining herself stepping out of stretch limousines onto red carpets. But such dreams felt worlds away. Raised by a single mother, Sasha spent her teenage years helping with chores and working part-time to support the household. Her mother's unwavering determination lit a fire in Sasha's heart. If there was one lesson she learned early on, it was this: hard work is your ticket out. At 23, Sasha was balancing two jobs, bartending at a chic hotel lounge by night and assisting at a local marketing agency by day. Life was hectic, money was always scarce, and sleep was a rare commodity. On a humid summer night, while serving cocktails to a corporate group at the hotel's rooftop bar, she locked eyes with a man who carried the air of someone in command. Sharp suit, an elegant watch, and a quiet confidence that set him apart from the boisterous crowd of executives. "Could I get a gin and tonic, please?" he asked, smiling just enough to be polite, but not flirtatious. His voice was deep, alluring. Sasha's breath caught. She had seen wealthy men come and go from the lounge, but something about his presence was magnetic. She politely stirred the drink, placed it on a napkin, and slid it across the bar. "Here you go. Anything else I can get for you, sir?" He lingered, eyes narrowing slightly as though he were trying to read her. "No, that's all for now." "Thank you," he replied, pausing to check her name tag. Sasha. When he strode away, she felt an uncharacteristic flutter in her stomach. Men with wealth had come and gone from her life, typically leaving the server a generous tip and a half-hearted attempt at flirting, but rarely anything more. She chalked this stranger's appeal up to a long shift, the bright neon of the rooftop bar, making everything feel more electrifying than it truly was. At the end of the evening, she found a business card left behind with the tip, "Victor Alvarez Apex Holdings." The tip was generous, more than her entire nightly wage. A quick Google search that night revealed he was a millionaire entrepreneur known for real estate developments in Miami and across the East Coast. Victor Alvarez was rumored to have climbed from modest means to owning an empire of upscale restaurants and hotels. On her next shift, Sasha discovered that Victor was staying in one of the hotel's penthouse suites. He came in for a drink each evening, sitting silently at the bar as she mixed his usual gin and tonic. He rarely engaged in conversation, just watched her with that intense gaze. Something in those silent glances made her feel seen, as if he found her intriguing in ways that had nothing to do with her short black uniform dress or the aura of a moonlit bar. One night, Sasha garnered the courage to ask him casually how his day was. He laughed, shoulders relaxing, and from that night on, they talked sometimes for hours. By the end of the month, they'd shared stories about family hardships and aspirations. Victor was a man who used his rough childhood as motivation to climb the social and financial ladder and Sasha found herself inspired. On the day his business trip ended, he invited Sasha to dinner, offering not just a fancy night out, but a chance to be seen and heard in a city that often overlooked strivers like her. Their connection, at first tenuous, blossomed over candlelit dinners, charity galas, and private yacht outings. Sasha balanced the whirlwind romance with her daily hustle at the marketing agency, but her heart was beginning to lighten with each date, each conversation. Before a year had passed, Victor proposed in front of a small crowd at her mother's modest backyard. Kneeling amid flickering lights strung up over white plastic lawn chairs, he promised her a lifetime of adventure love and security that she'd never had. Sasha's yes slipped from her lips with tears in her eyes. It felt like a Cinderella story, except she was determined not to lose herself in the fairy tale. She'd remain level-headed, keep working, and contribute meaningfully to their shared future. But a part of her also realized the world she was stepping into. Victor's wealth opened doors to extravagance and drew a circle of powerful acquaintances around him. She walked into that circle, determined to hold on to her dignity. Her mother, Linda Reyes, reminded her, "Often money doesn't make a relationship. Keep your feet on the ground." Sasha took that to heart. Sasha had always believed that love was built on mutual trust. Victor, for his part, seemed to honor that idea. Through business expansions and philanthropic events, he made time to lavish Sasha with everything from antique lockets to spontaneous weekend getaways. Over their first 2 years of marriage, Sasha molded herself into a supportive wife, taking etiquette classes and philanthropic courses, helping Victor host elaborate fundraisers. They became a dazzling power couple in the eyes of Miami's elite. Yet, in that glamorous circle, Sasha learned there was a constant undercurrent of jealousy secrets and hidden agendas. Women as poised as mannequins would circle around Victor at parties, dropping sultry hints about private business propositions or future collaborations. Men flashed knowing grins whenever Sasha politely excused herself, leaving Victor to speak with potential clients. That was the rule of the game: flirtation, whispered deals, and hush-hush dinners. Sasha, however, wasn't naive. She trusted her husband for the simple reason that she saw how affectionate and consistent he was at home, away from the cameras and the deals. In private, Victor was thoughtful, cooking her breakfasts, listening to her concerns about her mother's health, and never once turning his back on her attempts to carve out her own career in marketing. He encouraged her entrepreneurial spark, which only deepened her admiration. And so she let the rumors of other socialites who whispered about him being untamable or too charming for his own good roll off her back until she started noticing subtle signs. Victor's phone buzzed often with messages and emails that he never fully explained. A new personal assistant, a fiery redhead named Sharon Gold, arrived on the scene, referencing private meetings between Victor and potential collaborators that Sasha was never told about. And there was one name in particular that Sasha kept hearing in passing: Melissa White. Sasha recognized the name from her own marketing circles. Melissa White was an up-and-coming branding consultant with a rumored flamboyant personal life. She had a reputation for being brilliant at corporate rebranding, but was also known for scandalous affairs with high-profile clients. Sasha didn't pay much attention at first, chalking the stories up to gossip, until she opened the mail one day to find an invitation for a charity function that featured both Victor Alvarez and Melissa White as keynote speakers. "Why didn't you tell me about this event?" Sasha asked, showing him the invitation in their sprawling living room. The sunlight from the floor-to-ceiling windows cast a warm glow on the white marble floors. Victor shrugged. "Darling, you're pregnant, and these events can be exhausting." I was going to mention it, but it slipped my mind. I didn't think you'd want to go since you've been more tired lately. That was partially true. Sasha was around 4 months pregnant. Morning sickness had taken a toll on her, and she no longer had the energy to attend every social engagement. But she caught the anxious flicker in Victor's eyes, and for the first time, she wondered if he was withholding something more. Could it be that he and Melissa were working together on some secret project, or was there something else? Still, she decided not to pry. He was her husband after all. She would trust him until proven otherwise. The pregnancy alone was stressful. From frequent doctor's visits to the shifting hormones that left her crying 1 minute and laughing the next. Yet a faint alarm bell echoed in her mind whenever Melissa White's name surfaced, and Sasha couldn't entirely silence it. By the time Sasha was 6 months pregnant, her belly was unmistakable, and the promise of motherhood lifted her spirits. She imagined a future with a giggling child running through their lush backyard, the walls echoing with laughter rather than just the hush of expensive decor. Victor seemed overjoyed at the prospect of fatherhood. He began ordering custom cribs, discussing potential baby names, and rearranging his busy schedule so he could attend OB/GYN appointments. Yet in tandem with his excitement, he appeared more distant at times. His phone calls were more frequent, often with hushed tones when Sasha was within earshot. He'd sometimes leave early in the morning for emergency meetings. When questioned, he'd offer a warm smile, a gentle kiss, and a promise that everything was under control. One mid-afternoon, while Sasha was browsing through baby furniture online, she noticed a text pop up on Victor's iPad, a device they both used occasionally for music and reading. It read, "Looking forward to our next session. Don't forget to send the revised documents. Melissa." The text was innocent enough on the surface, but her heart pounded. Why was Melissa White texting Victor personally? Weren't such matters typically handled by his assistant? She tried to rationalize it. Maybe it was just a branding strategy for one of his properties. Yet that small message whittled away at Sasha's sense of security. She decided to confront him politely. That evening, when they settled down to watch a Netflix show, she casually asked Victor, "How well do you know Melissa White? I see her name come up now and then." He gave her a smile that suggested mild confusion. "She's a branding consultant who's helped me rework some marketing strategies for Apex Holdings. She has quite the reputation in the industry, so it's purely professional." "Why do you ask?" Sasha shrugged. "I noticed you've been in contact often. I just wanted to make sure all is well. There's some gossip around her personal life that I've heard in my own circles, and I don't want you to get tangled in any scandal." Victor nodded, lifting Sasha's hand and kissing her palm. "I appreciate your concern, but trust me, everything is above board." He flashed the grin that had melted her heart countless times. "I love you, Sasha. You're carrying our child. The last thing I want is drama." She smiled, letting her fears fall away. In her mind, she told herself, if he was having an affair, would he be this dismissive? He'd probably at least try to conceal texts or would have a different phone. She resolved to give him the benefit of the doubt. Besides, they had more important things to focus on, like the baby. Sasha's mother, Linda, had been hinting for weeks about wanting to organize a baby shower. But as Sasha's due date crept closer, she noticed that none of her friends had approached her about one. Suspecting a surprise, she tried not to poke around too much. Still, her curiosity was piqued. She had a gut feeling that something big was being planned behind her back. Her best friend, Charlotte Mink, who worked with her at the marketing agency, stayed suspiciously quiet, but gave her a knowing wink each time Sasha mentioned the baby shower. Sasha let them have their fun. Who was she to spoil the surprise? Eventually, an elaborate ruse was arranged by Linda and Charlotte. They told Sasha they were taking her to a spa day to help her relax. Victor, claiming he had last-minute business, was oddly absent that morning. Sasha didn't think too much of it. Men weren't always as hands-on in these baby shower traditions, and she knew how hectic his schedule was. After a soothing massage and manicure, Linda drove Sasha to what Sasha believed was just another boutique. Instead, she was ushered into a lavish mansion that her mother had rented for the occasion, though ironically, the decor perfectly matched Sasha's tastes: soft pastel shades of gold and peach, airy chiffon drapes, and enough floral arrangements to rival a royal wedding. Sasha stepped inside the grand foyer only to hear a sudden chorus of surprise. Beaming faces of friends, family, and even acquaintances from the city's elite circle greeted her. Ribbons dangled from the high ceilings. A sprawling buffet showcased everything from mini quiches to a chocolate fondue fountain. A large banner read "Welcome Baby Alvarez." Overwhelmed by the love and effort, Sasha's eyes brimmed with tears. She spotted Linda hugging her from behind, and Charlotte squealing, "You had no idea, did you?" Among the crowd, Sasha began searching for Victor. He had to be there, right? She spotted him across the living room, a champagne flute in hand, engaged in conversation with some other businessman. Relief flooded her. He had made time for this. He eventually caught her eye and waved. Sasha's heart soared. In that moment, she felt that all was well. She mingled among the guests, opening gifts that ranged from hand-stitched blankets to gold-rimmed feeding bottles. The laughter was abundant, the clink of glasses constant. The baby shower was everything she could have wanted: cozy, supportive, and glamorous all at once. But near the end of the gift-opening segment, a hush fell over the crowd. Linda nudged Sasha gently, gesturing across the room. Amid the circle of guests, Sasha saw Victor, seated on a plush lounge chair facing away from her. Another figure was perched on the arm of the chair, a woman in a form-fitting turquoise dress. Her manicured nails delicately rested on Victor's shoulder. Sasha couldn't see who it was, but something about the pose felt overly familiar. The hush grew deeper, and Sasha's pulse raced. The woman's laughter was audible, a sultry tinkle that sent chills through the room. Sasha took a few steps forward. She recognized those waves of platinum blonde hair. Melissa White. She was leaning in close, murmuring something in Victor's ear that made him laugh softly. Then she did something that knocked the air from Sasha's lungs. Melissa shifted her body and slid onto Victor's lap, as if it were the most natural place in the world. She draped an arm around his shoulders, exuding a possessiveness that was unmistakable. It felt as though time slowed to a crawl. The rest of the guests looked on, stunned. A handful turned their gazes to Sasha, as if waiting for her reaction. A hostess tried to intervene, perhaps to redirect Melissa off Victor's lap politely, but the tension was too thick. Sasha took a shaky breath and managed a few more steps until she was standing just a few feet away, her stomach heavy with their unborn child. "Victor," she whispered, her voice cracking. "What's going on?" He looked up with wide eyes, mouth half open in shock or guilt, or maybe both. Melissa, still perched shamelessly, had the audacity to flash a smirk in Sasha's direction, as though claiming victory. In that moment, Sasha's entire world seemed to tilt off its axis. The woman she'd grown suspicious of was here in front of everyone, humiliating her at her own baby shower. A swirl of emotions, anger, betrayal, heartbreak, collided, and Sasha felt tears welling up in her eyes. Victor began to stammer, "Sasha, this isn't what it looks like." But the scene was already burned into everyone's memory. The pregnant wife had just caught the mistress sitting on the millionaire's lap at her own surprise baby shower. Silence. Everyone seemed frozen in that scandalous tableau. A million unspoken questions pulsed through the room. How long had this been going on? Had Victor really stooped so low as to bring his mistress to his wife's baby shower? How brazen was Melissa White to do this so openly? Sasha's heart pounded, each thump echoing in her ears like a war drum. Her mother broke from the crowd, rushing to her daughter's side, placing a protective arm around her. Charlotte Mink, stepping out of the stunned mass of onlookers, glared daggers at Melissa. You could hear a pin drop. Then, as if realizing the gravity of the situation, Melissa smoothed her dress and slid off Victor's lap. The smirk on her lips vanished, replaced by a poised mask that only incensed Sasha further. "It's not how it looks," Melissa said softly, in a tone that suggested exactly the opposite. Rage flashed in Linda's eyes. She turned to Victor, her voice trembling. "How dare you? My daughter is carrying your child, and you—" She couldn't finish her sentence. Her face grew red, and her nails dug into Sasha's forearm. Victor stood up, stepping away from the seat, where the imprint of Melissa's presence lingered. He reached towards Sasha, but she instinctively moved back. "Sasha, please let me explain." "Explain," Sasha choked out. "What exactly is there to explain when the entire room just saw—" Her voice broke and tears started to stream down her face. "Why is she even here?" she managed to ask, her voice thick with betrayal. Melissa cut in, crossing her arms. "Because I was invited," she declared. "It's a misunderstanding." She shot an icy glance around the room. "I'm a consultant for Apex Holdings. I thought this was a business networking event celebrating the baby." Her words landed hollow. The guests seemed appalled, shifting uncomfortably, a few looking at their phones as if wanting to be anywhere else. Sasha clutched her stomach, anxiety swirling inside her. The baby. She had to remain calm for the baby's sake. Swallowing hard, she locked eyes with Victor, searching for any sign of the man she thought she knew. "You need to leave," she finally said, directing her words to Melissa, but her gaze stayed on Victor. Melissa arched an eyebrow. "If that's what you want?" "It is," Sasha snapped louder than she intended. "I want you gone. Now." With that, Melissa lifted her chin and sauntered out, the click of her heels echoing in the hush. A couple of onlookers averted their eyes, choosing not to meet Sasha's gaze. Who knew what rumors would swirl in the wake of this scandal? The moment Melissa was gone, the dam burst. A throng of well-wishers rushed towards Sasha, offering comfort, while others pestered Victor with furious stares. The tension soared to a breaking point. Linda guided her daughter to a nearby sofa, dabbing at her tears, while Charlotte demanded explanations from Victor. One of the older family friends, Harriet Caldwell, who'd known Sasha since childhood, took it upon herself to break up the crowd. "Everyone," Harriet said, "let's give Sasha and Victor some space. This is a private family matter." Slowly, the guests moved away, although some lingered in corners, curiosity shining in their eyes. The once festive atmosphere of the baby shower lay in shambles, overshadowed by betrayal and heartbreak. Sasha didn't speak for minutes. She stayed seated on the plush sofa, tears drying on her cheeks, her breaths ragged. Victor cautiously sat beside her, ignoring Linda's glare. Charlotte hovered protectively behind the sofa, prepared to step in if Victor made the wrong move. "Sasha, I swear nothing happened," Victor began, voice wavering. "She came on to me. I didn't invite her. I didn't even know she'd be here." Sasha's lips trembled. "Then who did?" She looked at her mother, who shook her head firmly. "Mother would never allow that woman near me, if she knew what was going on. And Charlotte, absolutely not, Charlotte said, cutting in. I only sent invites to people I know love and care about you, or at least respect you. Melissa White was definitely not on the list. They both looked at Victor for clarity. He shifted uncomfortably. I didn't invite her, he repeated. Maybe she heard about the event through some business circle. She's persistent, Sasha. She's been trying to lock down an ongoing contract with me. And Victor Sasha interrupted, voice firm, despite her trembling lips. You have to tell me the truth. Is there something going on between you two, even if it's just flirtation, or if you led her on in any way? I need to know. He reached out to take her hand, but she pulled it away. He sighed. She's been sending me messages, yes, but it's been strictly professional, at least on my side. I haven't done anything with her. I'll admit, I haven't exactly pushed her away each time because I didn't want to lose a big account. It's a significant project for Apex, and Sasha's eyes filled with tears again. Are you saying my feelings are secondary to your project's profit margin? He paused, guilt flickering in his eyes. That's not what I meant. I was foolish. I knew she had a reputation, but I told myself it was harmless because I was handling it. Handling it? Linda snapped. Your wife is pregnant, and you are entertaining a woman with a questionable reputation for the sake of business. It's shameful. Victor's face hardened for a split second, then softened as he glanced at Sasha's tear-streaked face. I made a mistake, letting her get close, but I promise, Sasha, there's no ongoing affair. Let's talk about this, just the two of us at home. I can't just leave all these people here, Sasha murmured, gesturing to the concerned guests. They came for a baby shower, Charlotte intervened. I'll handle it. Linda and I will escort everyone out, and we can say Sasha's not feeling well, which isn't a lie. You two go home and figure this out. You owe her an explanation, Victor. Reluctantly, Sasha nodded. With her mother supporting her, they made their way through the guests, each person offering sympathetic glances or a gentle hug. The tragedy of such a moment overshadowed any attempt at jovial goodbyes. The drive home, which should have been short, stretched like an eternity every second, weighed down by uncomfortable silence. At the mansion, Sasha stepped out of the car and walked inside, not caring if Victor followed. She retreated to the master bedroom, tears threatening to spill anew. Moments later, he entered, looking haggard, his tie-undone hair disheveled. Please, he said, closing the door behind him. Let's talk. Sasha sank into the edge of the bed, crossing her arms over her protruding belly. Then talk, Victor, because all I have right now are humiliating images of that woman on your lap at my baby shower. It's unimaginable. Taking a seat on a nearby armchair, Victor rubbed his temples. Melissa is cunning. We've had disagreements about the branding direction of a new property, and she's been emailing and texting me relentlessly. I tried to keep our interactions quiet so you wouldn't worry, especially because I heard the rumors about her. But I swear, Sasha, I didn't invite her today. She must have found out and decided to make a scene. Maybe she thought if she could corner me socially, she'd push me to sign her final contract. His reasoning sounded plausible, yet it rang hollow in the wake of what she witnessed. Sasha shook her head, tears glistening. But why were you letting her get that close at the party, even if you didn't invite her? You let her sit on your lap. That's not a 1-second occurrence, Victor. If you saw her coming, you should have gotten up, or told her off, unless you wanted her there. Her words made him flinch. He leaned forward, elbows on his knees. I admit, I was caught off guard. One moment she was whispering something about a contract. The next she slipped onto my lap. I froze, thinking I'd cause a scene if I pushed her off, but I realized that sounds pathetic. He exhaled heavily. Sasha, I love you. I love our unborn child. There's no one else I want. I was simply naive about how manipulative she could be. The sincerity in his eyes gave Sasha pause. She knew Victor had his flaws. Ambition often blinded him, especially when it came to business deals. Could it be possible he was telling the truth? Her mind battled between fury and a desperate longing to believe him. Then you need to prove it, she said finally. Cut ties with her. No contract, no communication, nothing. I can't live like this, thinking some scheming woman will appear at every corner, humiliating me. He nodded without hesitation. Done. I'll do it first thing tomorrow. Send a firm notice that we'll be terminating any negotiations. If I lose a few million, so be it. A brief silence lingered. Sasha's lips quivered, and she broke into sobs. In an instant, Victor was kneeling in front of her, wrapping his arms around her swollen belly. I'm sorry, he repeated, voice shaking. I'm so sorry. Over the next few days, Sasha and Victor tried to navigate the aftermath. Linda, fiercely protective, wanted Sasha to stay with her for a while, but Sasha chose to remain with Victor, giving him a chance to make good on his word. True to his promise, he drafted an email and had his legal team sever ties with Melissa White. The fallout meant losing a potential multi-million-dollar branding partnership, but he told Sasha it was worth it to restore their peace. For a time, Sasha felt they might get through this. Though rumors swirled and some tabloids picked up the baby shower scandal, the couple showed a united front. Sasha took comfort in Victor's renewed attentiveness. He doted on her every need, from preparing late-night snacks to joining her at prenatal yoga classes. But as the dust began to settle, a new storm brewed. One evening, as Sasha was lounging on their living room sofa, scrolling aimlessly through social media, she stumbled upon a local gossip blog. The headline read, Melissa White drops bombshell about her relationship with Victor Alvarez. Sasha's hands grew clammy. Was it another rumor, or was there something more? She clicked on it, bracing herself for the worst. The post included alleged text messages from Victor to Melissa, accompanied by photos of them at various events, some business-related, some more ambiguous. One photo caught Sasha's eye, Victor at a hotel bar with Melissa's hand on his shoulder. The camera angle suggested a certain intimacy. The text messages, if real, hinted at late-night rendezvous. The phone screenshot read lines like, "Missed you. Let's meet again soon," allegedly sent from Victor's private phone number. Sasha's vision blurred. She felt trapped in a swirling vortex of confusion and anger. Had Victor lied again? Or was Melissa fabricating evidence to smear him for dropping the contract? Before confronting Victor, Sasha took a screenshot of the blog. Her instincts told her to gather every piece of information. She also noticed the timing the article had posted, only a day after Victor officially severed ties with Melissa. A possible act of revenge. She tried to calm herself. Her mother's voice rang in her ears. Always check the facts. If this was a staged attack by Melissa, Sasha needed proof. She dialed Charlotte, who spent half her working life verifying marketing claims. "Char, I just saw something insane on a gossip blog." Sasha outlined the situation. Charlotte's voice bristled with righteous anger. "That's defamation, Sasha. If those screenshots aren't real, we can nail her with a lawsuit." "Did you ask Victor about it yet?" "Not yet," Sasha replied softly. "He's in a meeting." He turned off his phone. "I'm just sitting here losing my mind." Charlotte's voice softened. "Don't panic. Listen, I know a tech guy who can help us verify if those screenshots are doctored. Wait until Victor gets home, confront him, and see if you can compare these messages with his phone records. We'll figure this out." Sasha thanked her friend, tears burning at the corner of her eyes. She ended the call, heart pounding in anticipation. If the messages were real, the betrayal ran deeper than she'd ever imagined. If they were fake, then Melissa was playing a dangerous game, determined to ruin not just Victor, but also Sasha's sense of security. When Victor finally arrived home, looking haggard after a marathon of board meetings, Sasha wasted no time. She confronted him the moment he stepped inside. "Victor, you need to see this," she said, pushing the gossip blog screenshots in front of him on her phone. He stared at the screen, brows furrowing. Then a red flush crept up his neck. "She's lying," he stated, voice tense. "These are fabricated. I have no recollection of these so-called texts, and they're definitely not from my phone number." Sasha wasn't fully convinced. "Are you sure? Because that picture?" He let out a short, frustrated sigh. "Remember that business seminar at the Seabreeze Hotel? She was there. She asked me for a photo, said it would be good PR. She insisted on putting her hand on my shoulder. I recall feeling uncomfortable. This was months ago. But that's the only time she could have gotten that shot." She scrolled through the alleged text messages again, her mind reeling. If this is her attempt to retaliate, it's working. People are going to believe it. Victor narrowed his eyes with resolve. "I'm contacting my lawyers. This is defamation. She's gone too far." Over the following days, they launched a counterattack. Victor's lawyers sent cease and desist letters to Melissa and the gossip site. Sasha and Charlotte's tech contact verified signs that the screenshots were likely doctored. The blog eventually took down the post, issuing a lukewarm apology. But the damage was done. Rumors continued circulating, fueling gossip in social circles. Whenever Sasha stepped outside, she felt the weight of people's stares, as though they were dissecting her every expression. Despite the tension, Sasha and Victor grew closer. Hardship sometimes unites as much as it can break. Each time Sasha felt her baby kick, she reminded herself that she was fighting for a family. If she discovered actual proof of Victor's affair, she would make a different choice. But for now, she believed his assertion that Melissa was out to ruin them. Time moved strangely in the Alvarez home after the scandal. The baby shower, meant to be a celebration, had left a gaping wound that Sasha couldn't ignore. She moved through the rooms like a ghost, her rounded belly a constant heavy reminder of what should have been a joyful chapter. Instead, each echo of silence between her and Victor was a loud, unanswered question. At 8 months pregnant, her body ached, but her spirit was what truly felt exhausted. Some mornings, she woke up gasping from dreams, where Melissa's smirk haunted her like a specter. Other times, it was Victor's silence in those moments, his hesitation, that tormented her. Could he really be innocent? Or had she just convinced herself he was? Because she couldn't bear to face another kind of betrayal, Victor tried to mend things. He cooked her breakfast, warmed her slippers before she got out of bed, and massaged her swollen feet each night without being asked. Yet for all his gestures, Sasha still sensed an invisible wall between them. She wanted to believe him desperately, but the doubts clung to her like a second skin. Linda visited, often bustling into the house with the fierce energy of a protective mother bear. She helped organize the nursery, humming old lullabies as she folded tiny onesies. Yet Sasha often caught her watching Victor with wary eyes, as if waiting for him to slip again. Charlotte, too, dropped by with cheerful distractions, baby books, nursery decor ideas, and the occasional snarky joke about Melissa. But even she seemed guarded, walking a tightrope between support and skepticism. And then came the call. It was a bright afternoon. The windows were open, letting in the scent of freshly cut grass. Sasha sat on the living room couch, flipping through a baby name book when her phone rang. The caller ID read Harriet Caldwell, a long-time family friend who had been present at the baby shower. "Hello," Sasha answered, shifting her weight uncomfortably. Sasha Harriet's voice trembled slightly. Listen, I didn't want to alarm you, but I received a package this morning. No return address. Inside were photographs of Victor and Melissa." Sasha felt her throat tighten. "What kind of photographs?" Harriet took a breath. "They look intimate. One shows them dancing close in what appears to be a private lounge. Another, he's got his arm around her. In one, it almost looks like he's leaning in to kiss her cheek. And there's a letter." A letter. Sasha's voice had turned to a whisper. Yes, it was typed, threatening. It says, "Unless I pass these to you and warn you to comply, they'll be sent to the press. Blackmail. They're demanding money." Sasha went cold. Her first instinct was denial. Melissa again, of course. But the pain was real. The fear clawed at her ribs. "Harriet, please, don't show these to anyone else. I'll come to you. Just, please hold on to them." Within half an hour, Sasha was at Harriet's home. Her body was protesting the strain of movement, but adrenaline propelled her forward. Harriet welcomed her inside with a concerned expression and guided her to the kitchen where the photos were laid out on the table. Sasha's breath hitched. There they were, high-resolution images, Victor and Melissa. In a hotel lounge, she recognized instantly neon blue backlighting velvet couches, modern art on the walls. It was a venue frequently used for industry events. She remembered Victor mentioning a real estate convention 6 months earlier. He had stayed at that very hotel. One photo showed Victor seated with Melissa at his side, her head resting on his shoulder. In another, they were standing close, mid-conversation, their bodies nearly touching. Another captured a moment where Victor's hand was on the small of her back, guiding her through a crowd. Her heart cracked again. Could these be real, or just another illusion, carefully crafted by a woman who had proven she'd stop at nothing? Sasha Harriet's hand rested gently on her arm. "Are you all right?" She wasn't. Every nerve in her body screamed for answers. "Thank you," she managed, swallowing back a fresh wave of nausea. "I need to take these. I have to show Victor." Back at the mansion, she paced the living room while waiting for him to return from a meeting. The clock ticked far too loudly. Her hands shook as she laid the photos out on the coffee table. When Victor walked in, he looked momentarily relieved to see her upright and waiting. But that relief faded fast when he saw the photos. He went pale. "Where did these come from?" he asked, picking one up with trembling fingers. "Harriet got them in an anonymous package, along with a blackmail letter." Sasha said evenly, "Victor, I need the truth. All of it, right now." He stared at the images, then looked at her eyes wide, voice cracking. "This isn't what it looks like. Yes, that's the Seabreeze Lounge. Yes, I was there. But it wasn't like this. Melissa was there for a post-conference mixer. There were dozens of people. She asked for a photo. That one," he pointed at the shoulder-resting picture. "She caught me off guard. I didn't even notice how close she was. And I absolutely never danced with her like that. Someone's doctored these." Sasha's voice trembled. "Victor, this looks real. So real. How can I trust that it's not?" He crossed the room and knelt beside her. "Because I swear on Eva's life, I never crossed that line. Melissa has been obsessed. She's been trying to entrap me for months. I didn't see it at first, and when I did, I thought ignoring her would make her stop. But she escalated. She wants to destroy me, and now she's trying to destroy us." Sasha's hand went to her belly as a sharp pain radiated across her lower abdomen. Her knees buckled. Sasha Victor shouted, catching her just before she hit the floor. Linda came running in. "What happened?" "She's in pain." Her stomach called 911. Victor barked. Panic overtook the room. Minutes later, paramedics rushed Sasha to the hospital. The contractions were premature, intense. The doctors moved quickly, administering medication to delay labor. They placed Sasha on strict bed rest. She lay in the maternity ward, tubes in her arms, heart rate monitors beeping steadily in the background. Victor sat beside her, pale and silent, holding her hand like a man who'd just realized how much he had to lose. From her hospital bed, Sasha stared at the ceiling tiles, tears sliding quietly down her cheeks. She didn't know what to believe anymore, but one thing was painfully clear. Melissa had gone too far. And she wasn't just playing games anymore, she was trying to destroy a family. The sterile white walls of the hospital became Sasha's world for the next 7 days. Days blurred together in a haze of routine vitals, bland meals, and whispered updates from nurses. Every minute was laced with uncertainty about her pregnancy, about Victor, and about everything she had once believed to be unshakable. Her mother, Linda, stayed by her side, barely sleeping. Charlotte visited daily, her arms always full with flowers, maternity snacks or gossip she thought might distract Sasha. Victor came too quieter than usual, always arriving with fresh apologies hidden in his eyes. But Sasha kept a gentle distance. She was grateful for his presence, but the images of Melissa, the lies, the half-truths, they still haunted her like echoes in the sterile air. Even as he rubbed her feet or fetched extra pillows, she could not yet let him fully back in. Trust once broken was like glass. It could be mended, but the cracks would remain. On the morning of the 6th day, Charlotte walked into the room, holding her phone like a prized trophy. Her expression wasn't just determined, it was electric with purpose. "I have something," she said, her voice firm. "Remember Dominic, my friend in digital forensics? He analyzed the photos." Sasha pushed herself upright, heart thudding, and Charlotte pulled up images on her screen, zooming in on the hotel lounge photo, the one that had nearly broken Sasha. "Look here." The lighting on Victor's face doesn't match the angle of the room's wall sconces, and Melissa's shadow doesn't even fall in the right direction. Dominic says they were layered expertly, but still fake. Sasha stared at the screen, eyes wide. "So, it's not real, none of it. Highly likely doctored. He's 90% sure. Someone paid a serious professional to make these look legit. And let's be honest, Melissa's the only one with motive." For a long moment, Sasha said nothing. The tidal wave of relief hit her so hard it made her feel dizzy. She had clung to suspicion for weeks, tiptoeing between belief and heartbreak. To hear that the most damning evidence against Victor was forged, it was both freeing and infuriating. Victor arrived minutes later, having been texted by Charlotte. His face was pale with tension, his suit still crisp from morning meetings, but his eyes searched Sasha's face first, then the screen. "She knows," Charlotte said, handing him the phone. Victor blinked, processing the image and Charlotte's breakdown. "I told you," he said quietly, his voice raw. "I've never touched her, never wanted her. She's sick, Sasha." Tears pooled in Sasha's eyes. "I should have believed you sooner. I just didn't know what to trust anymore." He walked to her bedside and dropped to one knee, taking her hand so gently as if she might break. "I understand. After everything, you had every reason to doubt. But I swear to you, I only ever wanted a life with you. And our daughter." Linda, sitting nearby, wiped her own tears away with the corner of a tissue. "We need to stop this woman." She's dangerous. That same afternoon, Victor's legal team began drafting a restraining order. Charlotte connected with another investigator, this one specializing in cyber tracing. They were done playing defense. It was time to go on the offensive. Before Sasha was discharged, Victor, Linda, and Charlotte sat together in the hospital's family lounge, united in purpose. Melissa had gone too far. The world outside still whispered about the baby shower scandal. But inside that quiet hospital room, something shifted. Sasha no longer felt like a victim standing in the ashes of betrayal. She felt like a woman reclaiming her power. And this time, she wouldn't let anyone shake it again. The weeks that followed Sasha's hospital scare were fraught with tension, but also held moments of quiet hope. Against all odds, Sasha carried her pregnancy to full term. 6 weeks later, she went into labor in the early hours of a rain-slicked Sunday morning. The delivery was long and exhausting, but when she heard the piercing cry of her newborn, every ounce of pain vanished beneath a tide of relief and awe. They named her Eva Luciana Alvarez. In the delivery room, Victor wept openly as he held their daughter for the first time. For a moment, the ghosts of betrayal and suspicion seemed to melt away. The tiny heartbeat resting between them reminded them of what truly mattered. The following weeks passed in a daze of midnight feedings, lullabies, and whispered apologies. Sasha found peace in the rhythm of motherhood, though a part of her remained vigilant, knowing their past hadn't completely released them. And she was right. Exactly 2 months after Eva's birth, a familiar tremor returned. This time, it came in the form of a headline splashed across a business gossip column: Melissa White arrested in multi-million-dollar fraud scheme. Sasha's hand froze on Eva's stroller. Her breath caught. Victor read over her shoulder, his jaw tightening. "It's about time," he murmured. The news detailed a string of blackmail attempts and falsified evidence targeting high-profile entrepreneurs. Melissa's name was tied to an underground ring that crafted digital forgeries to extort money from the wealthy. The private investigator Victor had hired had contributed crucial findings, helping authorities connect Melissa's forged photos and fake texts to the broader scheme. Victor didn't waste a moment. He submitted his official complaint, including every email-altered screenshot and manipulated image Melissa had deployed against him and Sasha. The mounting evidence tipped the scale. Within weeks, Melissa was formally indicted. Her face, once gracing social columns and real estate seminars, vanished from public life. Her reputation crumbled overnight. Only then did Sasha truly exhale. She and Victor brought Eva to Linda's house for a quiet family dinner. The evening sun filtered through the curtains as laughter replaced tension. They toasted to healing, to truth, to the strength it took to endure. Later that night, while rocking Eva to sleep, Sasha watched Victor carefully stack plush animals by the crib. His movements were gentler now, more present. This was a different man, not perfect, but transformed by crisis. The pain they'd weathered had left scars, but it had also forged something fierce between them, a resilience they hadn't known they possessed. And as Eva's tiny fingers curled around Sasha's thumb, she whispered softly, "We made it." Not because the road had been smooth, but because they hadn't given up. Epilogue. In the subsequent months, Sasha gradually returned to her own marketing pursuits, establishing a niche consultancy for small businesses. Victor continued running his empire, but with a renewed focus on ethics and caution. Linda often joked that the baby shower fiasco was the worst day of our lives, but it taught us all who truly belonged in the family circle. Far from a perfect fairy tale, Sasha and Victor's marriage now bore scars that reminded them trust could be tested from every angle. Yet it also bore the mark of perseverance. Sometimes heartbreak can build a deeper resilience. And for Sasha, each time she saw her daughter's wide brown eyes staring up at her, she knew she'd fight 1,000 more battles to keep her family intact. Thank you for joining us on this roller coaster of secrets, betrayals, and redemption. Sasha's journey reminds us that even in our darkest hour, when scandal crashes, a sacred celebration, resilience can rise from the rubble of heartbreak. She stood her ground, fought to protect her unborn child, and discovered the power of truth. Love, when tested, can unravel or blossom. For Sasha and Victor, it meant unmasking a cunning adversary and forging an even stronger bond. If there's one lesson to take away, it's this: never underestimate the lengths to which deceit will go, and never doubt the power of genuine love to overcome it. If you found yourself hooked by this dramatic tale, please hit the like button, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us bring more stories to life. We'll see you in the next video. Stay tuned for more drama, intrigue, and unforgettable twists.